folks. I'm Elmedrite, and this is Minecraft. But that's not what we're talking about right now. Everyone plays D&D, or at least some version of D&D, or a role-playing game of some kind these days. Back in my day, you only did that sort of thing if you were a hardcore nerd, but never mind all that. Throw that out the window. This is your typical D&D alignment chart. Good on one side, bad on one side, I don't care in the middle. That's not how personalities work. Granted, it's supposed to be a simple idea so that people who haven't played the game before or haven't played any games like it before can understand what's going on. Which is good. You know, everybody needs a tool, everybody's got to start somewhere. But I don't like it. I don't like it. A lot of the people that use it end up bringing out these flat characters that have little to no personality. I don't like it. So I made this thing. So for years I've been championing the fact that a lot of things just aren't expressive enough. People think two-dimensionally, or at best three-dimensionally. Here, I take it to 4 dimensions, at least. So, this is a 3D space. On one side we have good and evil. On one side we have dumb and smart. On one side we have lawless and lawful. And of course, open or closed off, chaste and, well, chaste, and social, antisocial, whatever. And the levels up and down are how hardcore you are. So, first, you'll notice that there is no true neutral position. That's what the lava block symbolizes. You can't be perfectly in the middle. If you are, you're insane, and probably not in a good way. You can't be true neutral. That's not humanly possible. And if you are, you're not fun in a good way. So let's forget that right now. So first, let's say you want to make a good character. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So you're middle of the road good. But how smart are you? Let's use a different block here for the sake of argument. This green one's easy enough to see. So, good. Pretty middle of the road good. Like, you're not gonna go out of your way to save the orphanage, but you're not overly concerned about the trolley conundrum. Alright, neat. Now, how hardcore are you at being good? The average person would be smack in the middle of this, and that's why there are 5 levels to everything. So, most people would be about here. So, now that we've got your average good hardcore, are you dumb? Or are you smart? Well, again, most people are generally middle of the road intelligence. But, for the sake of argument, you're slightly smarter than most people. Bam! You've moved up one row and one column. Okay. Next, we go for lawful or lawless. Well, you're generally a good person, which means you're going to be lawful. So we actually move you from there to about here. But, that seems kind of samey. Well, let's say you're antisocial. Which would move you down here. Basically back where I put you the first time. So, voila. A smarter than average good person would be in this sort of gray category here that most good people probably fall into, or perhaps you're an evil scientist, okay? Let's pick a different color for Mr. Evil Scientist. Mr. or Mrs. or gender appropriate, gender neutral term. So you're going to be bad. And you're not going to be middle of the road bad. No, you're going to be take over the world bad. Let's arbitrarily assign that here, right? Okay. Bad. But you're going to take over the world, so you're not dumb. You're smart. And you're a bit smarter than most people, so we'll take you from average. Let's put you in like the upper quarter percentile there. Technically, you'd be higher than that. Okay. So. Well, I mean, you're trying to take over the world, which means you see some flaw in the world that you wish to change. Is the change you want to make technically a bad thing? For you, yes. For some other people, no. This is actually rather suggestive. Subjective. Freudian slip. So we're gonna say that you're rather extremely not open. Which puts you there. And of course, very, very lawless. But at the same time, you actually prefer to have order. Just your order in particular. Which means technically you're still lawful, but it's your law, not anyone else's. So, bad, but smart. And you're taking over the world, so it would be pretty hardcore. So you'd land in this pink zone. The colors that I've plotted on this pink zone are completely. The colors don't do anything but differentiate one zone from the other, okay? They're not meant to serve as allegory or be a comparison. I just chose a bunch of bright colors that would stand out from each other and not confuse anyone. So that you know that technically all of these different colors are different personality shapes. Of course, not only are you extremely lawful and it's your own law, but you're higher up than the average good person because you are way more extreme than your average person in order to, take over the world and such. Well, your average good person, somebody who's trying to take over the world, those are two extremes of the, well, that's green. I don't think we want another green. Purple, why not? We'll put a purple block for this next one. Now, we start with good or bad. Let's just say you're generally good leaning, but you steal from your local established market because it hurts the man, even though technically it doesn't and you shouldn't do that. So you're just just on the other side of being bad. Of course, you're not too hardcore because, that's not exactly an extreme crime. You have fairly average intelligence, which means you'd land right about here. Or, I guess, right there, technically. Okay, so you're smart, but you're also really outgoing. Really outgoing would be. Yes, right here. Because the further out you go, the more extreme you are. Which would technically put you in this one because. Well, I may have screwed up a few positionings, but basically you're in this orange sector down here. You're extremely outgoing. You're sort of a bad person. Well, you see how complicated it is to to quantify a person's personality. I suppose technically, the way I've done up the grid here would put you in this red category. Yeah, maybe I did this differently, but you can see what I mean when I try to put this up. And of course, when you zoom out, you can see the average good person is somewhere in the good corner, a bit more on the gray side. The really outgoing, the very charismatic thief, not a very bad person, but very outgoing, would put them in a more social, but still not positive mood. And of course, the evil supervillain who wants to take over the world is in the world is mine and I'm going to treat it like a toy section. I suppose technically this should be not, and this should be open. In order for this to all make sense. So the charismatic thief, nowhere near the supervillain, but still on the same level. And of course, like a paladin would be on the same level opposite the supervillain, close to, but still very far from the average person. Uh, the belligerent redneck who is racist and hurts people because of their race, well, they'd be somewhere down here because, you know, racism is pretty dumb. Let's use a different color. Yeah, no one likes Birch, right? That's the joke. So, racism is pretty dumb. Murder is pretty extreme. I guess this is lawless. And this would actually be lawful. Sort of got my signs backwards there, but you know, the racist who openly attacks other people based on their race, they're not a very good person. They're a very extreme person, which is why they're higher up on the chart. Even the gods are angry with that. Even Minecraft is angry with that. So, of course, you're very anti-lawful, too. So, in honesty, you'd be, well, in the social strata. The social strata, you'd be somebody who probably only has friends that are also as extreme as you. So, you'd technically be right there. And then viewed from above, we can see how you would plot that out. Of course, it would help if you had better grasp of the categories you thought were important in the first place. It would be better if you had your signs pointing the correct way or not. Because, hard to plot points if you get your axes backwards. But yeah, there's a different sort of alignment grid for you. There's an accurate-ish representation. The one thing that I think this sort of thing solves, take a shot for every time I say thing, the issue that I believe no free space solves is the true neutral. Everybody points out L from Death Note, and they say he'd be a true neutral. He's not a true neutral. True neutrals would never be concerned about anything. He might not be on the side of justice, but L still works for the cops. Working for the cops is still a good thing. Well, can't use that one. We'll put down some seaweed. Sure, whatever. So, true neutral, but he works for the cops. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that why everything's thrown off? Because it's only supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's only supposed to be 5 points. So we also know that light is very intense. Not light, L. I get confused. Okay? Very intense, very high up on the ladder, but still lawful because he works for the cops. Okay? He's also not good with social interaction. So we take him down here. Exactly how far down? He does have conversations with people. He does work on a team, even if he's not exactly a team player. So, definitely not true neutral of you there, dude. I've never actually seen that much of the anime. I don't actually know what's going on. He's insanely intelligent. So, he's right up there with the supervillain. But he works for the cops, which is inherently a good thing. Well, I guess if you're one of those people who hates cops, you wouldn't think so. But he is working against the protagonist. Light is the good guy. We're supposed to agree with him. He's the one that knows how to use the Death Note appropriately. He's the main character. He's the one we're rooting for. He's the one we want to succeed. And L is the antagonist of that. So, yeah. Light, of course. I don't know why I'm stuck on Death Note. Moral ambiguity aside, he does kill an awful lot of people. Very extreme. He says he wants justice, but does he really? Yeah, might as well put Soul Soil down because, dead people. My brain's frying. Okay, so he he wants order, but he wants his version of social order. He also works in a team a lot. He has an ongoing relationship. Admittedly, he only works on the team, to prove that he doesn't need to work on a team because he's that smart. He's insanely smart. He does have a girlfriend, so he's social. He works in a team. He's loved by his classmates, I believe. I mean, it wouldn't be a Japanese anime if some guy weren't good at school. Know what I mean, Vern? But, yeah, you've got your charismatic thief, your supervillain, your average good person who's slightly antisocial. I believe that was our judgment. We've got your racist murderer. However disjointed it might be, I think you can agree that this is a lot more expressive than just this. Of course, you'd have to have better order of operations and perhaps more meaningful colors and dialogues. I'm not entirely sure. This is only a prototype. But thanks for coming to my TED Talk, I guess.